Hey, what's up guys, I'm Evan1 and welcome to today's video. So this video was actually supposed to come out yesterday, but when I was recording it, I realized that the entire concept of the video didn't really make sense. And it was mainly just because a lot of you guys already knew where to get all the eggs. I was going to make a video talking about where you get all the eggs in Miner's Haven. And I mean, if you still need to know that, I'll give you guys a quick little 30-second tutorial on how to get those eggs. So first, if you guys go to the top of the tower in the middle of the map and go through the hole in the top, you can get the Egg of Illusions. So what you do is you go to this maze and it teleports you to a different game. You go through the maze, and then if you finally get to the end of it, then you get the Egg of Illusions. I'll have a video link in the description as well for the full tutorial on that egg, especially on how to get through that maze. Now, next for the noob egg, what you have to do is you have to go to the cave in the map of Miner's Haven, go to the John Doe challenge, and do all 3 John Doe challenges. On the 3rd John Doe challenge, you'll get to wave 6, and you'll have to fight the boss. Now, this boss is very hard. It has 15,000 health, but if you beat it, then you get the noob egg. And then lastly is the egg yield egg. You get this from joining the game of a contributor to the game, and they have a launcher that they can just shoot, just like the Video Star launcher or whatever. And that's how you get the egg yield egg. Now, for the rest of them, you just find them all across the map. They're just spawning all over. They're under trees, they're near different objects, they're up near the leaderboard. You just have to look near things. They're not usually out in the open. They have very specific spawn locations, like next to different objects. Another thing is for me personally, I found about 50% of my eggs in the sporest below the map. So make sure you guys are checking down there as well as the island that you can go through the teleporter in the sporest to get to. I told you guys all that. What's the entire point of this video then? I'm going to go through and tell you guys what every single one of these items that you actually get from the eggs does. So I'm going to be explaining what each of these do and how to use them and where you should use them in your setup. So first we have the Moe God, and it multiplies ores by a large value of ×8, but it has a chance of igniting the ore, putting the ore on fire. And it will destroy the ore after 4 seconds if you don't extinguish it. So I would recommend on using a Freon Bombarder before it, or somewhere in your setup, or using a Freon Sprayer right after it. Next we have the Vitamin C Coater, and this is from the Watermelon Egg. That is from the Moe Egg, by the way. But this is from the Watermelon Egg. And it multiplies ore values by ×6 and turns the ores into tiny little watermelons, kind of like the gingerbread house, which turns it into tiny little balls. It also occasionally drops a seed, which copies the ore's values and effects, which is kind of like an ore duplicator, but it does it very occasionally, so I wouldn't rely on it. And then this is the Deviled Blaster. So this does a very, very large ore value of ×14, but it has a very high chance of exploding the ore as well as setting it on fire for 4 seconds, so you want to make sure you're using some like ore negators or a Freon right after it or something like that. Next we have the Gator's Cove from the Gator Egg, and what this does is it upgrades the ores based on its upgrade counter, so it multiplies it by that. So if the ore has an upgrade counter of 0 or below, it multiplies it by ×10, but if it has like 1 or above, it does ×5. So if you want to make sure you're getting like the full value out of it, make sure the counter is below or 0 or below, so you could use it at the beginning of your setup or after items that lower that counter. And then next we have the Amber Fossilizer. This is from the Amber Egg, and this is a pretty interesting item because it multiplies ore values by a decimal value depending on how long the ore has existed in the world. So it ranges from ×0 to ×10. So for every minute that the ore has existed in the world, it gives it another 1. So if the ore has existed in the world for 3 minutes, it'll do ×3. If the ore has existed in the world for 10 minutes, it'll do ×10. And then next we have a very interesting item. This is the Eye Teleporter, super unique. And what this does is it only works on platforms. You have to put it up on a platform, and just by dropping the ores into this teleporter, it then teleports them down here. So you can then easily, without wasting that much space, get from the top of a platform to the bottom of your base, basically, for your ores. So you can just use that to teleport them down below, and it's a pretty efficient way of doing it, so I think it's really interesting. And then next we have the Cosmic Device from the Anti-Gravity Egg, and what this does is it multiplies by ×13, but it also requires the ores to go through an anti-gravity device because this conveyor or upgrader is upside down. So unfortunately, yes, it does times 13, but it is on upside down, so you'll have to use an anti-gravity device to actually use this. And then next we have the Dust Devil. This is from the Dust Devil egg. And what this says is it multiplies the ores based on the size of the ores. So the bigger the ore, the bigger the upgrade. The smaller the ore, the smaller the upgrade. But basically, normal size ores are about times 3, smaller ores are around times 2, and then larger ores can receive 4 or even 5 times their value. And this is a very, very strange and interesting little thing here. This is the legendary black hole that you get from the legendary egg. And what it says it does on the wiki is that it sucks up ores and spits them back out through the bottom. It also applies a 20 times upgrade, and it's hydraulic, of course, as well. So you can kind of place it wherever. You can lower it, raise it, whatever. But for me, it's sucking the ores all the way from over there and spitting them out in different places instead of just down through the bottom. It actually spits them out like kind of randomly. So while it does times 20, it's like sucking the ores all the way from over there, no matter like what the height is. Even if I have the height all the way down here, it's still sucking the ores all the way from there. So it's just very strange, and I don't know if it's like maybe bugged or something, but I'm sure if you guys get this item, you might be able to figure it out and test it out in your setup. I think it's really cool though. And then next we have the Obsidian Infusion Device. So this is from the Obsidian Egg, and this as a standalone item upgrades or multiplies the ore value by times 4, while also simultaneously forging the ore, making it more dense, kind of like the ore negator. Now, if the ore is flaming though, it gets an additional times 6, which then, but if the ore is flaming, it does times 6 boost, which then gets to a times 12 upgrader. Instead of just that times 2, it gets it to times 12. So if you want to have, you know, a portable flamethrower before it and then a Freon right after it to make sure it doesn't burn out, highly suggest doing that. It does times 12. Next we have the Octopi Council from the Octo Egg, and what this does, it has a base multiplier, since this is a furnace, it has a base multiplier of times 50, and also if the ores have the wet status, then it gets it to a times 100. And this is a very unique one as well. This is the shield generator from the Armored Egg. So what this does is it kind of spawns a little force field around this little location. So let's say you're getting shot at by another player, you can just put this on your base and there you go. Or if you want to put like zombies inside this shield, you could do that as well, so they can't kill the zombies from a long range to get to your base. It's just like kind of like a PvP type item. But I do think it is very interesting because nobody can actually get in here. But it can be destroyed if they shoot it enough. And then next we have the Portable Pearl Enhancer, and this is a very interesting item. So this does times 6 from a 9x9 radius. So if you actually check here, you'll see this little dome around it. And what that does is it tells you exactly how close the ores have to be to get that times 6 upgrade. So instead of having to go through this upgrader or whatever, it just has to get in the radius of that upgrader. And then next we have the, well, it's supposed to be the Methane Sky Fleet, but it's not. Oh, it's right there. So the Methane Sky Fleet, of course, is a hydraulic item, and it's flying up in the sky here just because the higher the upgrader is in the sky, the higher the upgrade is, or the higher the multiplier is. So if it's all the way on the floor, it only does times 1, which doesn't do anything, it just leaves it be. And if it's all the way up in the sky, it does times 5. So just depending on where you're at, since this is hydraulic, it does a higher upgrade. So right where it is right here, all the way at the top, does times 5. And then next, of course, we have the Reaper's Fortress. And this is a really cool item. This is from the Egg Yield Egg, which of course is the one that you get from the launcher from contributors of the game. So this does times 5 to times 7.5, and it's just a random chance depending on what you're getting. It's just completely random. But it's a very small upgrader, and it's raised. So it's a pretty good upgrader for times 5 to times 7.5. I mean, it's really cool, and I'd probably use it in your setup because it's not even that much of a waste of space, and does quite a bit. So recommend using it. Next, we have the malicious incubator, and this is actually interesting because it's not like straight. It's not straight at all. It's like a little curvy here. And what this does is this is actually a times 15 upgrade, but it also poisons the ores for 5 seconds. So what you need to do though is to get rid of that poison, you need to use a spore. Next, we have the sand shark receiver and the sand shark sender. So these are teleporters, of course, but not like normal teleporters. They actually upgrade the ores while also teleporting. So it upgrades it by times 10, which is really great, but it also sets the ores on fire. So you want to make sure you use like a Freon bombarder or a Freon sprayer. So this is the coconut drencher, and you get this from the coconut egg. So this is a cell furnace that multiplies anywhere between times 1 million and times 4 million. So it's not really that great for higher life players like myself. I just use a Dreamer's Anguish instead. But for lower life players, it's quite a bit, and you guys could definitely use it in your setup if you need to. But yeah, it's a pretty cool item. And the next we have the Egg Scream Refiner. So this is from the Egg Scream. And I personally really like this, but some people really don't. So what this does is it's a times 4 upgrader, which is pretty decent, but it also freezes your ores in place, like they don't move, for 15 seconds until they thaw. So this could be really good, or this could be very bad, because it could slow down your setup, and some people don't really like that. But for me personally, I like it a lot, because sometimes I do need some more time to get other things ready while the ores are going through my setup. So I don't really mind the 15 seconds there, but some people might. And the next we have the Vaporwave Vibe Visualizer. So what this does is it does a times 7 upgrade and turns the ores neon pink. That's it. That's simple. Nothing else. Just times 7. So, I mean, definitely use that in your setup, because if you don't, you'd be crazy, because, I mean, it's really cool. It does times 7. It has no side effects. Really good. So this is the Cybeg 9000 from the Cybeg 9000. It's the same name. And this is a really cool upgrader. It's very similar to the Ghost of Christmas Past. And this is a times 10. So it does a times 10 multiplier, and it just shoots onto, you know, conveyors or even other upgraders, so on and so forth. But you can just shoot it on there because that's the hitbox and that's the beam that upgrades. So pretty good times 10 upgrader. Oh, and also I need to mention that it does ignite your ore on fire for 4 seconds. So you need to make sure you use like a Freon bombarder or a Freon sprayer as well to make sure that it does not burn out. And then this is the energy core. So the energy core also has a radius very similar to the portable pearl enhancer. So if you see there, it's a little bit smaller than the portable pearl enhancer, but it's pretty good because it does a times 4 upgrade within that range that you guys saw. So you guys can just place it down next to like some conveyor or upgrader or whatever, and as long as it gets within that range, it gets multiplied by times 4. And then of course, a lot of you guys know this item. This is from the Egg of Illusions. This is called the Illusions of Void, and this does times 9. Now, when I first recorded my video about the Egg of Illusions, this I thought only did times 9, but it also puts a shield around the ore that protects it from being destroyed. So that shield does help it, you know, not get like exploded or anything like that, but eventually that shield does run out after it's taken enough damage, kind of. But it's pretty good because it's a times 9 upgrader, and I highly recommend using it. And then next, of course, we have everything from the Noob Egg, and of course this is the Dubious Nubius Guardians, and you get 10 of these. They're just really zombies that look like noobs, so they can protect you on your base, and that's about it. And then here we have the last and final item here, the Ruby Crystallizer. So this is one of my favorite items out of this entire thing for one single reason. Look at how small it is. Okay. This says times 10 with no side effects at all. Just times 10. That's it. That's all it does. So it's pretty amazing. It really is. So highly suggest using that in your setup, and that's basically all of the items for the Egg Hunt 2020 in Miner's Haven. Now, there are 3 other Easter exotic items that you can get out of boxes, and I'll have an entire dedicated video just for those 3 items, but these are all the items that you get out of just the eggs, whether you're finding them around the map or finding them from the challenges. And it's pretty good. So if you guys want to just get these free exotics, go ahead. Just look around the map, try to find these eggs, claim them up at the top of the tower here, and there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, comment down below any new video ideas or any questions you guys have. Also, like the video, subscribe. We actually just hit 12,000 subscribers yesterday. And as I said in the last video, I'm officially back to Miners Haven. I'm doing more Miners Haven videos here on YouTube, as well as Twitch streams over on Twitch. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys later.